All right, welcome back to Resilient Voices and Beyond. I'm excited for this episode. This will make episode 24 of season 3, 113th episode overall. So, with that being said, thank you all for your support. Thank you all for your kind words, comments, shares, likes. It all helps. I'm telling you, it helps a lot. So, thank you for that. But also, thank you guys for supporting the guests that I've had on here so far, whether reaching out to them, buying a book of theirs, looking into their nonprofit or company, what have you. I just want to say thank you on behalf of them because I know they already are screaming it probably from wherever they are. So, with that being said, if you have stumbled across this podcast and you don't know who I am, because it happens a lot. My name is Michael D. Davis Thomas, aka MDDT Speaks. I spent approximately 11 years in the Michigan child welfare system. First half in the foster care side, there was a middle portion where I was a dual ward, and then first half on the juvenile justice side, then last half on the foster care side. Then within being in the foster care side of things, I started advocating at 15 and have been working professionally since then in some position, role, or aspect so far. So I have a little bit over a decade of child welfare experience working from the front lines to doing micro work, working with youth and development and engaging to being on the macro side, working with representatives, legislators, helping create policy and legislation to help support the many. That being said, y'all are not here for me. Even though I could probably talk for a very long time, you guys are here for my guest. So without further ado, I'm gonna have her introduce herself.
Hi, guys. My name is Milizhia Mills, and I am a former foster youth who is a young adult now pursuing human resources.
Awesome, awesome. It's such a pleasure to have you on here. I want to say thank you for your willingness. My first question, we kind of just dive right into it, So I hope you're ready. um, from the best of your ability to whichever ability that you're comfortable with, help myself and the audience understand a timeline from your then as early as you want to share or comfortable sharing to what you do now and why you do.
Um, all right. So let's see. Where do I want to start? I'll start with me being put into foster care. When I was put into foster care at the age of 14, um it was a very devastating and hard time, and I was in high school. Those are your prime years. Those are the years that you like really get to figure out what you want to do. And my dream goal had always been to become an FBI special agent, and that was just my goal. I really watched Criminal Minds a lot, and Criminal Minds just inspired me.
That'll
But
do it.
yeah. Um, and when I was in foster care, I had this social worker who wasn't the best. Not all of them. All of them, majority of them were great. And then I had this one who basically told me that hill was going to freeze over before I graduated high school.
Hmm.
Um, Back then, I had attitude. I was a typical teenager. And also, I was in a state of the unknown. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know. I was being taken away from what I knew to things that I didn't know. And so being not in control was very hard for me. So I graduated high school and I went off to college. And then it's like, what do I want to do? I want to be a lawyer. I was like, okay, I want to be a family law attorney because my family law attorney, he was amazing and he was great and he really inspired me. And then it was COVID, and COVID shifted all of my dreams at the time because I didn't want to take the LSAT virtually. I needed to be in person.
Mhm.
So I was a nanny. I like did a lot of nanny stuff, watched kids, worked at a country club, and then I transitioned into HR, which is what I currently do, and I've loved it. And currently getting my master's in human resources management because of my experience in HR.
Okay, okay. I'm always curious. Like, I'm pretty sure many other people. How do people just decide they gonna do HR? Like, like that's the one. It's between HR and accountant. But I feel like most people who like math may be like, "Oh yeah, accountant." But I always wonder, where was the spark? Where was the moment? Yeah, HR is gonna be my thing.
So I think for me, it was an opportunity came in my lap and I decided to take it because I was getting ready to graduate in like a year or so and COVID had hit and I wasn't receiving enough hours at the country club that I was working in watching kids. So was like, I know I don't want my whole life to be about watching other people's kids and like, I love doing that, but that's not what I wanted my career to be.
Mhm.
So when I transitioned from the country club to working at a nonprofit, that was huge and that was the door opener for me. I learned so much. I started off part-time and then they brought me on full-time and then I transitioned out of that and then went full-blown on recruiter HR.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Well, I wanna slide a little bit back if you don't mind me asking.
Mhm.
You mentioned back then, like many other teenagers, um, but also you probably experienced some different adverse things that added to it. You had a bit of an attitude. So, what was some of those obstacles and barriers as you came into this place of independency as an adult yourself that you had to challenge against yourself?
That's a good question. I actually would say that my independence is something that I still struggle with now. It's hard for me to ask for help. It's hard
Mhm.
for me to receive help because I'd rather just do it all on my own. Like people ask me all the time, what do you want for Christmas? And I'm in this state where it's like, if I want something, I'm just gonna buy it. Like I'm not going to create a list for me to pass out to people and say, hey, this is what I want. If I want it, I'm just gonna get it. I'm gonna save up for it or get it in that moment. Um, but I actually just watched this TikTok video from Sarah Jakes Roberts, and she was talking about how sometimes it's okay for us to want people, it's okay for us to need people. And that was so good for my soul because sometimes I get in my head of like, oh, I'm going to be a burden, or, and that's not the case. I need to allow people to say yes, no, or I would love to join you, or I can't, but I want to sit in this space with you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. I appreciate you sharing that. I think I've gotten better. I've gotten better personally with the actions for help. Allowing space for people in my life. And I know that may sound weird to some people out there listening, but when you come from a background like mine, you know, you had to let go of relationships with people or what's the word? The continuous letdown of people not
Yes.
showing up. So
Yeah.
by letting go, forgiving, and giving them people space to either come aboard, or not come aboard, and not be frustrated either way, it has brought a whole nother challenge of I'm at a place where I don't, um, well, not so much now. I was at a place around, let's say, 20 to 23. In that place of not really having expectations for people.
Mhm.
And not having those expectations for people, I was very self-sufficient and self-independent. And that allowed for a lot of failure due to me not having a village. Because if I didn't know how, it wasn't like I was gonna ask somebody. I was just gonna keep doing the same thing until I figured it out. And sometimes it's not meant for us to do it by ourselves.
Mhm.
And I've learned as we grow to, get more comfortable with it. But I think on top of what we've been through,
Mhm.
um, society has moved to a more self-centered space for individuals altogether. So it conditions us even more to be okay in that self-independent space instead of leaning on to a village, whether that's your chosen family or whether that's your birth family or whatever that looks like. It kind of pushes us to be like more self-sufficient and not want to really tell people things or ask for help, because one, we have to
Yeah.
worry about somebody trying to scam us, worry about is this
Yeah.
person trying to kidnap us, worry
Also,
about
like
all these.
worrying about if people are authentic. I
Yeah,
mean, let's just, I want to dig deep into that real quick
go
because
ahead.
for me, the authentic piece, it plays a huge part in my life. So many times, it's like a blessing and a curse because I question literally everything. I'm like, are you being real? Like, are you comfortable? Can I trust you? It's like sometimes we do have expectations of people that they just can't meet.
Mhm.
However, I think it is important to have conversations with those people, with those relationships, friendships, whatever they are, and engaging with them to see what you are capable of doing, how
Mhm.
you are capable in walking alongside of me. And like for me, for an example, I mean, I had failure from my biological family. Then to go be a part of a family for 6 years that I adoption was brought up like 3 times. It was like something that was very huge in what we were going to do, to then just receiving a voice text and saying, hey, I can't be your mom anymore. So like that, it messes up your trust. It messes up like, how can I trust a village if
Mhm.
I am building a village and there was this village and then out of nowhere it's like, bye, I'm done, etc. Because I think a lot of people don't understand that family, friends, nobody's perfect. Everyone has their flaws. Everyone has their struggles. It's just we just don't give up on people.
Yeah,
That's just, and it's about being authentic. Let's not have any, I'm gonna mess this word up. All ulterior motives. Wait, did I say it right? You know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. You guys
I
know exactly
I
what
try.
I'm you guys know exactly the word that I'm trying to say.
Yes,
Um,
you said we got
so
it.
yeah, so just making sure. So it's hard for me even in this season of trusting people. It's
Mhm.
hard for me to know who's real, who's just here to use me, who's here to really pour into me, who's here to care for me. And so doing this life on your own is hard. That was my worst fear. I don't want to do this life by myself.
Yeah,
I just don't. And
I,
so you get to, like you said, chosen family. Like, you get to choose who you get to do life with.
definitely, definitely. I think I operate now, and I've been doing this for a few years, off of you have space and opportunity. Anyone can come into my life. That's
Mhm.
you have that space and opportunity. Um, and then once you lose that trust, then um that has to be regained. But you operate on credit. Like when you come into my life, you good. Like I don't have nothing. I'm not distrusting you. Like I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna automatically have hope in you, believe in you, what have you. And then I have to see something to then, okay, I have to draw a boundary between this.
Mhm. And for me, I have to remember that everyone isn't like those that hurt me.
Yeah.
Everyone isn't like those who um messed up my trust. Like everyone is not like them. So I don't have to put them in that same category. They're
Mm,
different people. Allow them to, I need to, what I am wanting to learn and growing in is allowing people to love me the way that they can love me
mhm.
and not holding over their head what someone else did to me.
Definitely. I love that you said that because, like, as I'm learning relationships, family wise, friendships, intimate partnerships, what have you, as I'm learning, because I'm like you, I like to think. So I get into the nitty gritty, be watching documentaries, reading books, all this. I'm like, because I love learning.
Yeah.
So as I'm learning and watching them and observing people around me and the world, we all have our unique way of loving. We may have
Yeah.
love languages that
Yeah.
may be similar to one person or another, but we have a unique way of communicating that love and actually implementing that love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you got to find that right lockstep, with the people that you choose.
Yeah.
And and I believe everyone is capable of love and everyone is capable of receiving love.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how you communicate it and implement it. And a lot of people have been hurt in this world. A lot of people have been scarred. A lot of people have post traumatic stress with loving and loving others. And they are trying to figure out how to do it going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are in this lost space where they don't know, and there's no real rubric or guide to instruct them how to get back to the norm of how they love people.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, that switches gears to my next question, kind of similar to the space that we are at. Um, when did mental health and self care become important to you in your life, and when did you notice, if you have, because I don't want to, or you still on that road, the importance of it for yourself and your future?
You're asking all of the great questions. Um, I would say that my mental health, I started paying attention to it when I was in middle school. So this was right before foster care, literally paying attention to my feelings and my thoughts. And I would self harm. I would self harm. And that was like my way of coping through the hard things that were going on. Um, and I think as I've gotten older and turned 18, I really dove deep into focusing on my mental health, going to therapy. Um, I go to therapy every week. And however, let me say this. It is important that for me that I found a therapist that was trauma informed. I had two therapists before I'm with my current therapist, but they were not trauma informed. And I was with them for maybe a year each, so 2 years, and I was not growing. I was
Mm,
not getting anywhere. I was still self-harming. I was still struggling. I was still like in this headspace that everything was my fault.
mhm,
And so once I transitioned to a trauma informed therapist, which was 2020, it was April 2020, and started going to see her. I still see her to this day. I see her every week, and it has been a blessing for me. I live by going to therapy. I encourage everyone, even if I don't have anything hard going on, just having that space to just talk through, like, hey, I was feeling this today, but like just digging deep into different things and going through some books is so important. Last year, 2022 was a very hard year for me, especially towards the middle and the end. Um, this is a little trigger warning, but I had attempted suicide, and it was a very just hard time. It was around the time that I got the voice text that the family that I was with no longer wanted me. So that was hard. It was like I didn't want to be by myself. It was like I couldn't accept it. And I just didn't feel like I could live by myself with no one like pouring into me, no one like walking alongside of me, no one to say like I have parents or things like that. And the Lord was like, no, this ain't it. This isn't your time. Like I have so much more for you. So after that, I really dug deeper, deeper, deeper into my mental health and paid more attention to my feelings, walking through those things, which was very important. And also digging deep into the people that were around me but weren't around me. Does that make sense? It was like I wasn't like seeing these people on a day-to-day basis. I wasn't talking to them on the day-to-day basis, but they were there to support me 100%, and allowing those authentic people into my life to pour into me, to care for me, to love me, to accept me, invite me, has been very helpful for me, even in this year of growing. So, mental health is something that I take very seriously. Self care is also, I think, taking care of yourself and creating space for yourself, and being alone is okay.
Mhm.
Um, and having your army, your village, is important as well. So, yeah.
I think we were talking prior when we were prepping and talking about getting this podcast going to record. And I share with you that I'm an ambivert. So, I have that time where I want to be with self,
Mhm.
sitting in my nothingness. And I have that time where I want to be with people. Um, but I had to learn a balance with myself with that because naturally I wanted to be in that space when my mental health wasn't ready for it, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
There was a lot of healing I needed to do because sometimes putting myself, and I don't know if anyone else is out there like that or even yourself. There was a time where being with self, there was a lot of intrusive thoughts, there was a lot of darkness, and there was a lot of depression. Um, and there's a lot of questions not really of trying to make sense of things, and it was easy to get into a sunken place.
Mhm.
So I had to like kind of force myself to be around people so that I can heal good enough to be safe with
Mhm.
myself alone. um,
Yeah. And
and
that's good. Even to just piggyback off of that, I feel like in this season, like yes, last year happened, but last year actually helped me to love myself even more.
definitely.
Like, Lord, you're giving me another opportunity to keep loving me and keep, speaking out, sharing for other people and helping others. But it's been my own healing journey. So this past year and a half, I've literally have dug more into figuring out who Milizhia is and really loving who Milizhia is, and not who everyone else wants me to be,
Mhm.
but exactly who he has created me to be. And so it's been very, very, very good. It can be challenging. It happens. It it can be challenging, but it's how you push forward. It's how you look for that light at the end of the tunnel. It's how you do all of those things, and how you remember that um you're God's beloved. So that's
Yeah,
important for me.
yeah. I was telling someone that I can't remember who. I think it was a friend or so. That Yeah, it was a friend, and I ain't gonna share their business or what we were talking about, but but it was in the aspect around relationships. Like as much as we put out for other people, the relationship you have with yourself, that love, it's you got to continue to date yourself. You got to
Mhm.
continue to build that. Look, you got to be having game nights with yourself, like you
Yep.
like, and it's just like any other relationship. You can fall out of love with yourself, and you can fall in love with yourself.
Yeah.
That's something I have learned in this journey of my little bit of life. Because I be saying stuff like I'm real old, but I'm only 26. Lord, but I promise y'all, I've lived a lifetime of experiences, and I've learned this, and I'm like, hey, well, Michael, we look, we going on dates, we gonna start doing stuff, but I don't see a lot of people doing that or looking at it from that perspective, and that's why it's easy to seep into those other type of unhealthy relationships or those unhealthy patterns with self, because you're not doing enough to engage with yourself, to love yourself. Because when you start to love yourself, then when other individuals come in and want to be in relationship with you, you have an expectation.
Right.
You have boundaries, healthy boundaries, and you know what you need from that relationship or what you're willing to receive from that relationship. And when you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, it's hard to measure where that line is, where those expectations supposed to go, or where those boundaries are. And I see a lot of people that are young adults like myself not spend enough time with self. So when they get into these relationships, it tends to be a whirlwind, and they're like, how did I get here?
Yep. Hmm. Yep. And it's so good because, like, even what you can see now, some people aren't even able to stay married for 2 minutes or like date for 2 minutes. And it's because, like, we're not dating self. And that is most important. Like, this year, I purposely had to stop a relationship that I was in because I was learning about myself that I did not know how to communicate healthy. Like, I did not know how to communicate when I was feeling a certain type of way because I had a fear of rejection. I had a fear of whatever. I had anxiety. So I had to get to a place, and I'm still getting there, to the place where I can communicate healthy so that when I am in another relationship, that it is a good relationship and I can communicate well. And so it's not, I'm in and I'm not going to tell you because I don't want you to feel a certain type of way. Like, no, that's not how relationships work.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I feel like we probably stepping on some people's toes out there. They probably look, because some people be comfortable sitting in their mess. I said it. I'm sorry. So, some people look, I'm happy in my mess, and you had to come ruin it, Michael, by telling me about myself. But if the shoe fit, no, but for real, we all have some things that we can work on, and I just challenge you guys out there listening to really like take a sabbatical.
Yes.
Take a sabbatical from. Nah, I'm not telling y'all to stop working. No, because some of y'all got bills. Take a sabbatical from all those things that you feel like you must or you have to, but all actualities, those are just desires, not needs. You know, and really take some time. Take 20 to 30 days with self. And really ask yourself, make a list of some hard hitting questions, and allow yourself to honestly answer those to see where you are at in the
Mm-hmm.
relationship with you and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I would
And
love to hear somebody come back and tell me what they got.
yeah. And it's like, even if you are unable to take a sabbatical, you can take a solitude weekend. I
Yeah.
love solitude weekends. They are my favorite. And I purposely do not do them at my house. I do not do them in my town. I want to go somewhere new because it's going to force me to get out of my normal routine and really allow the Lord to speak to me and for me to hear him. So for my birthday, ever since I was 19, for my birthday every year, I do a solitude night the night before my birthday. I always go to a hotel and I literally just sit in his presence the night before. I turn my phone off. Nope, I want to sit in what you have for me for this upcoming year, and I want you to pour into me. I want to listen to him more than I can listen to myself, because he's going to guide me and he's going to lead you wherever you're supposed to be.
I love that so much. I look, I'm a person these last couple of years of my life walking with intention and purpose has been like the staple point of my day, um, of my day to day, month to month, because I've been in a place of my life where I was just living and lost, you know. But I know now where I'm supposed to be, and it's just something different about when you are walking within your place, your position, your purpose. You know, no matter what happened, because life still be lifing to me, as y'all see. Like, you know, there's times where lose a job, almost end up homeless, you know, COVID strike, all these different things. Like life happens. But when you are walking in intention and purpose, those things happen around you, not always to you.
Yeah.
And if they do happen to you, there's a certain layer of protection by your faith and by your walk that it still may be like, dang, why does this keep happening to me? But all while you know, your bills already covered. You know, you over here concerned and you worry, but somebody already got you. And that's happens every time. And that's why I'm always going to give gratitude to the supports, to the people, to all you guys, because I couldn't be here without you all. I couldn't be here just with self, you know, because it's been the support that I've received from anonymous people to people I know, and just letting people be that support.
Yeah.
With that being said, switching gears to my next question.
Wait, before you go to the next question, because
Okay.
this is just something that's aching in my heart, and I want to say it. But whoever is listening to this, I just want to say, do not allow the things that have happened to you to become your identity. You figure out what your identity is in Christ and not in the things that have happened to you. That's it. That's all.
That was powerful. I thank you for sharing that. Man. Dang, I was supposed to ask my question after this. You just gonna drop that down like that.
I just needed to say it before I forgot.
No. My next question is, tell me a little bit more about your advocacy, the things that gives you passion and drive towards, and your expertise, and where would you like to see that going forward?
I would say that my advocacy for youth that are in care now, or have been in care, even those who just aged out, is hugely because when I was in care, the only person I had advocating for me was my GAL, my guardian ad litem. My GAL was the best thing that happened to me in foster care, if I can say. She fought for me to do the things that normal teenagers would do: go to prom, stay after school, do a sport, things like that. And once I turned 15 or 16, I became a part of SaySo, which is Strong Able Youth Speaking Out. And SaySo helped me find my voice. SaySo helps me to be able to advocate for other youth that are in care, on a higher level. I joined the board. My links coordinator, who was amazing, phenomenal. I still have a great relationship with her now. She pushed me to join the board, and I was a part of the board. And so we helped pass the Normalcy Act, which was so that youth that are in care can still utilize a normal life in spite of the things that are going on around them. So that really helped, and just seeing how it makes a difference for others now, even now, because I see kids that are in foster care going to prom. I see kids that are in foster care hanging out with their friends. I see kids that are in foster care who have phones and things like that, which is so important, and things that I wish that I could have had when I was in care. I feel like I had to grow up way quicker than I wanted to, and I wasn't fully able to be a teenager or be a kid. So I just want to advocate for youth to be kids, be teenagers, and not fight for love, you know?
I love that. I've been doing this for a very long time. Um, so long that I've evolved and I've grown, as I've been doing this, and I when I listen to many other people and their whys they advocate and what does advocacy look like for them, I always get a different idea, different spark and what have you. Um, but I can't speak to how much individuals, and even I was one of those individuals that just when I was in care, just like dang, you would look at society and even coming out of aging out of care, you would like, dang, I wish my life was normal.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, I'd like, what would that look like? Even some levels deep into you after being aged out into my adulthood, be like, dang, what does normal look like? So like it's been a it's been
Yeah.
like I've been going through it since out the womb. Like,
Mm-hmm. Since out the womb. Oh my gosh, yes.
yeah, no,
And you
man.
and you want that sense of normalcy. Like for me, I've been so set on I want to be adopted because I want to be able to say, here's my mom, here's my dad. When I'm introducing someone into my life, like, being able to do that. And I'm just getting to the point where it's like, it is what it is until I create my own family.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Somebody said something to me about holidays this year, and I just like, I don't feel like holidays will hit the same until I have my children, and I feel like I will be able to celebrate it with them. But it's just those things that have healed over their scars. Their scars now. So like, I hate to like put it like this, but like sometimes some of the enjoyment of things it's kind of got drawn out.
Yeah.
Because at least growing up for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but if you can relate, we win it.
Yeah.
Growing up for me, and even a little bit now, like Christmas and Thanksgiving has been surrounded around these happy family, even the commercials, like happy family, this, that, and the third. And okay, in my broken place, it will be the desire of wanting the illusion of that.
Mm-hmm.
In my healed place now, as I am still healing, um, now I see those commercials and I'm like, that's not authentic.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't even represent a true family. You go to family gatherings, somebody gonna get cussed out. It don't matter what family. I don't care. It don't matter. Somebody get cussed out. Somebody didn't come because they felt some type of way about not being in the Christmas picture.
Yep. And then
So,
you feel so it's so interesting that you say that because even for me, I'm not a part of anyone's family. I mean, I say that people are my family, but like whatever. But then it's like when it comes to taking family pictures, it's like, oh, where do I belong in this? Like, am I going to be included? Oh no. Okay, cool. And so it becomes hard, but I I agree with you. Holidays are just not my favorite. My birthday used to not be my favorite. I've just started loving my birthday this past year. And even for me this year, I was like, Thanksgiving, I'm gonna be at home by myself doing Thanksgiving by myself. That's just what I'm gonna do. And I will actually say that this year was the best Thanksgiving I've ever had in my entire life. Literally, best Thanksgiving I've ever had. And I wasn't alone. I was invited to come with my pastor and his family and his wife and their families. And I felt loved. I didn't feel like I had to fight to fit in. I felt like I could be me. And I just felt cared for. And that was like, I feel like this was the one year out of my entire 25 years of living where I did not have to fight to be someone that I wasn't, that I could be authentically me and be accepted for me.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it still wasn't hard. Still hard.
Yeah. Yeah. You said something there. Being authentically you.
Mm-hmm.
And as we are talking, that's the theme of the day. That's the theme of this episode. Being authentically you, being in relationship with you, and loving you.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a word for somebody out there.
Yeah.
As we get ready to end, have a couple more things for you. Just thank you. Thank you so much. I feel like this has been just a wonderful conversation. Um, but yeah, man, holidays.
Oh,
So
holidays.
I do love holiday. I do love me some holiday music. Don't get me wrong. Like my playlist goes on probably October, honestly. Yeah, that and some people like October. What you mean? What about Halloween? I don't mess with Halloween. I'm sorry. Um, that's for somebody else. I do mess with the I'm a cider meal thing. So it's been a tradition for myself to go to cider meals ever since I've aged out. Like that's something I do it myself all the time. Even if I go with someone else, I pick one and go by myself. Give me a dozen donuts. Give me a hot cider if they have it, or a frozen cider, and give me a gallon of cider for home. You know, and I would sit there. They sometimes they have little benches. I'll sit there and just enjoy the fall air, the smell, whether it's on a farm or what have you, and just sit in thought. I'm a thinker like you, so there's times where I just allow myself to think free flowing, process things. It for some people it may look like meditation, what have you, but that's kind of I just like to do that. I've been and came up with a whole book in my head in a few hours. And I have actually, but getting to my last couple questions here, what advice would you like to leave here today?
I feel like I could say so much, but let's see. My advice would be to lean in into who the Lord has created you to be. Lean in to finding out who that person is and trust the process. Trust that the Lord has a plan and trust that He is in the details. And lastly, I would say allow others to love you how they know how to love you. Allow them to care for you. Allow them to show up for you. And it's okay for you to want and need things. And it's okay for you to want and need someone to be there with you physically. It's okay too. That's what I want. That's my advice.
All right, all right. We just gonna keep dropping the mic. It's cool. We don't need the mic no more. We
And be authentically you. That is so important. Be authentically you.
definitely, definitely. My next question / more so comment from you. Any last comments? In this space is how people can connect with you, how people can, see the work you're doing or what have you. Whether you got a album out, some art, some whatever it may be. I don't know. How can people support what you're doing?
Well, I'm in the process of writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for that. I have an Instagram. It's Milizhia, Milizh as in zebra, HIA. Or one where I post content regarding the things that I have experienced. Let's see, what is that Instagram? Oh, it's Millie Mills. So it's MILI period MILLZZ. And it says Healing Through Truth. So those are my pages, how you can get connected with me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Milizhia Mills. And yeah, hopefully there'll be a book in 2024.
Definitely, definitely. So y'all stay tuned. I just want to thank you again for being on here, being vulnerable enough to share pieces of your life and your heart with us today. I hope that someone out there heard you, received what you were saying, received our conversation. We didn't hurt nobody's feelings.
And if we did, that's okay.
It's okay because sometimes you gotta hurt a little bit. Sometimes you gotta, some people need that reality check.
Yeah.
But it's truly an honor and a privilege, like I said before, and I don't know if y'all know this, but when I hop on these, when I meet all these wonderful people, I'm the type of person, when you meet somebody, you have a duty to them, to keep that relationship growing and building and what have you. And it's, I usually don't say this as my outro, but I believe more people should do this. More people should have this thought. When you meet somebody, you shake their hand or you give them a hug, whatever it is, you have a duty. Like you left an imprint, on that person, and it doesn't take much, whether that relationship is meant to be an acquaintance or associate, or a friendship, you never know. There's a duty there. So we need to do better by taking care of one of another. So, you have a friend in me,
Yeah.
you have a friend in me. With that being said, there's been a couple of things that we talked about on here that could be potentially triggering, and if you're coming home from work or heading out to work and you're listening to this and you made it to the end of this, just ask that before you do that next step or next stage or whatever you plan to do today or whenever, you take some time to practice some mindfulness, receive what you've heard, if it was potentially triggering you, practice some breathing exercises, bring yourself back to baseline. If something has awoken, something you've experienced in your past, and you are ready to start that journey of healing for yourself, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you find the right resources, whether that's therapy, community groups, whatever that may be, to help you get that journey started for yourself. Other than that, it's the holiday season. It's also, cold and flu season. So please protect yourself. Get a mask if you need to. Get the hand sanitizer, but also most hands. I saw hand, and I had to correct myself. I saw a hand sanitizer this week that said it only kills 79.99%. So all of them don't even kill 99.9%. So please make sure you go wash your hands. Like use a hand sanitizer but also wash your hands because there are still left germs. We can still pass it on to people, and also, children are really susceptible. I've seen a lot of people around me, their kids go to preschool or whatever, they come back sick, not a whole household sick. So, arm your children as best as you can as well, when they're going to these public places, because they don't have all that protection that we have as adults. So I'm not telling you to put that child in a bulletproof vest or a bubble suit. Just help them out if their teachers are needing Lysol spray, wipes, whatever. If you can afford it, if you can get it, give it to the classroom. Those things help. Tissue boxes, paper towel, those things help. And I know a lot of schools and preschools, Head Starts be needing some of those things. So, when you're thinking about this holiday season, think about some of those things that you can donate to the schools or community centers or what have you. Also, I had this podcast here, and I tell y'all every time, I'm gonna be here as long as y'all want me to be here, as long as I have guests to interview with. But I do need you guys' support. I have a GoFundMe up to help keep this thing sustained, but also to grow it. There's many aspirations I would like to do with this, not just in an aspect of interviews. I would love to create an emergency fund for lived experience individuals. There's many times throughout the year, and I know I'm not the only one, where some lived experience individuals who are more sustained get emailed from some of our individuals who have fallen on hard times. And, we help them out, or we can't help them out because we don't have the funds to do that. Everybody don't have that luck, or some people do fall short and stuff like that. So I just would like to create a space where I can help the many. And also a goal of mine is to build a scholarship fund to be able to offer scholarships to high school, college students, older students returning to try to get the education, whether that's a GED or an associate's, bachelor's, whatever that may be. I would just like to give people a chance at life, and building whatever life they want to build. With that being said, it has been a privilege and an honor being here with you guys. Once again, this is season 3, episode 24, the 113th episode overall. I hope you guys have a good morning, good night, good whenever you're listening to this. Thank you. Talk to you guys soon.